Hi, this is Michael Uslan. You're listening to Batman on Film.
I'm vengeance.
I have given a name to my pain.
The Batman.
Always waiting for some Batman to save you.
It's simple. We kill the Bat of Gotham. I'm Batman.
And welcome to the Batman on Film podcast, episode 221. I am your host of this evening's. I guess it's for us. It's this evening, this evening show. I am Peter R. Verra, and I am joined by my late night Batman companion. He's pretty much, the Wizard of the West Coast. Let's be honest.
Wizard of the West Coast. That's right.
Justin Kowalski, ladies and
That's
gentlemen.
right. Dude, when you're talking Batman, it better be nighttime. There's no talking Batman in the morning. He's sleeping at that point. He needs a rest.
Especially if you're
Right.
a podcaster. Like, the time difference actually works out in our favor.
Yeah.
Sometimes time difference doesn't. It doesn't always work out in your favor. It works out in my favor a lot. 'Cause I can
Yeah.
stay up late.
Hey, here's the thing. There's something about the electricity of the evening, man. Things come alive. You're a little more relaxed. All the information of the day has soaked in, and now you're like, let's talk about information. Let's talk about stories. Let's talk about
Let's talk about some drama.
some drama. There's never drama with DC.
Let's talk about some DC drama. Because what is a DC movie without some drama, without an article? And
without an article. Also known as there's not real news yet, so let's put some kind of news out.
We would have got this article if there was real news out there, though. We've been used to that. We've gotten used to this with all these WB movies, right? Like, there's always some other story to it.
All this news kind of felt very like, I feel like we've heard this before. That was the only thing I was like, is this news?
We're going to talk about the recent Tatiana Siegel Variety article, which basically outlines all the drama that's going on with Aquaman. And it goes a little deep into some legalities and he said, she said stuff, some court stuff that Amber's, what happened?
I was singing that song.
Oh,
it's all about
he said, she said, Justin. If you want to have a fun game, just take a random word of a song and replace Kowalski with it and see if it fits. I like to do that. They said just voice messages.
Oh gosh, that's hilarious.
Well, yeah, so that's a fun game. But this Variety article detailed a lot of the extra stuff that I necessarily don't care about. I don't know if you care about any of this extra Amber Heard real kind of. I got no dog in this fight, so I
just thought the accusations were kind of funny. Like, we could just jump into it, like the whole thing, like Jason Momoa was dressing like Johnny Depp on set, and I'm like, don't they dress? I feel like they're kind of the same. They wear like a lot of flowy shirts and rings.
They dress like gypsies.
Yeah, I mean, that's literally Jason Momoa's handle was Pride of Gypsies. That's like his Instagram.
The thing that I found interesting, I'll say this: the one thing I found really interesting about that was that Elon Musk wrote a letter to Warner Brothers.
I forgot that he
threatening hell or high water for
that was the thing. He was
Amber Heard.
dating her.
He did at one point in their lives. It was before Depp, obviously. I mean, I vaguely know about it just through some random Wikipediaing, but apparently they did date at some point.
That's wild. Like, regardless of how much money or whatever.
So he's sitting there thinking about Twitter and Amber.
Yeah, he's like, hey, it was one bad situation to another, I guess. I don't know. like Elon, just stick to Iron Man 2 cameos. That's it. That's all we need.
Was he in Iron Man 2? I don't remember.
Yeah, but right before the race. Remember Tony Stark's doing the race, and he's there. He's just like, "Hey, hello, Tony, nice suit," or whatever. I don't know what he
has an accent. I didn't know that.
He's
I don't listen
South
to
African. So he's just, and then
Everyone just makes a
Literally-
big deal about him on Twitter, so I don't.
Yeah, Tony Stark just goes, "Hey, Elon," or something like that. But he's in that
Okay,
scene
I
real quick.
honestly did not remember that. So
Yeah,
but yeah, that I found that interesting. But the rest of this stuff, I don't really care about. I mostly care about the movie.
It almost sounds like that was like a weird like non. I don't know why that's part of that story. Like, okay, so there was
just because Mara was I think Mara was a big part of the first movie, and now she's
no.
not. Really
Well, I
a
get
huge part of the
that,
second.
but like all the weird Johnny Depp accusations and Jason was drunk on set, like, and there's like multiple people, and not that people can't say, "Yo, I got your back, dude," you know. But it sounded like most people said, "No, that's not. Those are unsubstantiated rumors." Like, especially when she said he was.
If I had to guess, like, dude, Momoa was pounding Guinness on set, and he's not getting drunk off Guinness.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably used to that.
Yeah, I mean, I doubt he's like just taking full swigs, like, you know, Zack Snyder's Aquaman and walking off a pier. You know, like.
Well, it doesn't sound like that's ever been something that's been like part of his. Like people said, "Oh yeah, dude, Jason Momoa was like a mean drunk on set." That's never been something that's been reported. He seems to be like a jovial kind of guy, like people like being around. So the thing that was telling to me is when she tried to, like, some people like they try to play the victim, and so they make everything like an assault on them. So the fact that like Jason Momoa was wearing rings and a pirate shirt or something, he looked like Johnny Depp. Like that's you're reaching.
That's his look, man.
Like. Yeah, that's his look, and I feel like you're just trying, and so, like, you just need they should have just recast that chick.
That
like,
she also said like at one point Juan yelled at her on set or whatever. So I don't know. Amber's been going through a lot.
Maybe she was pooping on set or something. I don't know. Maybe he was like, "Hey, don't do that."
Possibly.
Yeah, I just think like Warner Brothers, they just, I think it's just another like notch in the like. What were you thinking, Warner
I
Brothers?
have a Mara statue from the first Aquaman.
Yeah. Here's the thing.
It's a great statue, by the way.
She looked. I think she actually. I liked how she looked better in like the Snyder films. I didn't like.
I did not like her accent in the Snyder cut, but her outfit in both Justice League movies was top notch.
Yeah, I actually liked the Aquaman suit, but her hair it just looked like a wig, man. Like I didn't like how her hair looked in the Aquaman film. It was too red. It didn't work for me.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
Suit.
Yeah,
I thought the hair was more subdued in the Snyder films, and I thought it worked better for me. But
I mean, I don't know if they recast her. I mean,
they
it sounds like they were able to cut her out enough to the point where she's not really missed. Yeah. And I mean, to be honest, just from looking at this trailer, it doesn't really seem like she's that necessary. It seems that Patrick Wilson has really just kind of slid into whatever her role was in that first movie, kind of like the sidekick, companion, traveler, role, you know, because it looks like it's basically Aquaman and Orm versus Black Manta.
The only thing I don't buy is this story was, you know, about them, like the brothers, you know, the buddy cop thing. And I'm like, well, you can't have a movie where Aqua Baby is born and Mara is not involved. So I feel like I call like that BS on that.
Well, it was stated
that's
that
Hollywood talk.
There was a Momoa mirror, there was an Aquaman mirror scene that was cut, and there was a mirror action scene with Black Manta that was cut, which kind of disappoints me because I kind of like her powers in general, and
she's got a cool power set.
So see her fight Manta would be cool. I'm kind of bummed the action scene got cut. I'm like, you can't put that in there somewhere.
Yeah, that's where I was like, y'all should just recast. No one would have cared. People wouldn't have been.
I agree.
Amber Heard's out, like, dude. Like, beyond her being like a bed pooper, no one knows much about Amber Heard, right? I don't know. I don't know what. Right? I don't name another movie that Amber Heard's in. I don't.
Zombieland. She plays the blonde girl.
Okay, fine. She's in Zombieland with Lex Luthor.
Yeah,
that's it.
And I'm trying to think. Amber Heard,
chick, right? I don't know anything else, and I'm not saying that diminished.
No. I only know of her because of she was cast in Mira's Justice League.
Yeah, so that's where I was like, man. The star here is Jason Momoa. If there was a chemistry issue, just recast her. And they actually considered doing it. They should have done that.
Hamada testified in court actually about that. It's in the article as well.
So instead of like,
it's on YouTube. You can watch his testimony.
Doubling down on stuff that doesn't work is why DC's in the problem they're in. You know. So anywho, for me, like I just felt like that was almost like a. an unnecessary angle on this article, right? But again, I think they're hungry to like, we got to put something out. And DC and the DC.
I don't want to say it was unnecessary
people
because I think the article does a good job of covering everything up to release, to be honest with you, because this is a movie that's been delayed. This is a movie that we've heard, and it's been written in this article again, that various cuts, various people have walked out of this movie. I think I think the movie has a lot of interesting. It may not be as like surprising. I don't know. It gives me kind of like Justice League vibes. It does, because Justice League was so heavily edited and changed.
The theatrical one. Okay.
Yeah. The whole saga of Justice League, but like this one isn't getting much attention because I think it's the end of the universe and no one really cares. You know, like it's been through. It's a movie that's been through. Well, yeah, but we do. But they've got us. They got us from announcements. So I find that interesting.
Yeah. That, I mean, it is. I just feel like they're trying to. I feel like they're trying to extrapolate a lot out of it. Like, yeah, look, you can't, dude. I don't want to hear any more about Amber Heard, and like,
I think this is the last you'll hear of Amber Heard.
Yeah, like, dude, I'm done hearing like her like potential involvement, non-involvement in this film. Like, it's kind of like, why are we drawing that part up? Like, but which makes me feel like the rest of the article is kind of more opinion slanted than actual like information. But we'll see.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, I think this is the last you'll see of Amber Heard. I think this is the last you'll see of Verra. I think this is the end of Aquaman.
You think
because
so?
Because as this article stated, and this is something that this is hot topic, because Kowalski, you love Lobo. Momoa's attachment to Lobo. The end of the DCU. Does anyone really care about this movie? Right? There's a lot of drama, but then like Momoa is still carrying on.
Yeah. And
there's been a lot of speculation. I mean, this Lobo thing I forgot even how this thing even started. Yeah. Right? He had a meeting with WB, and then the Lobo rumors just kind of leaked out. Everyone just assumed, right? It kind of took a life of its own.
No one's ever said Lobo. He's Lobo. Said, he's mentioned, I love Lobo. Like, first up, who in the previous Lobo? Like, I like Lobo. He's a fun.
If anyone wouldn't it be Momoa? I don't know. I just feel like mimicked his life after Lobo.
Like, who's oh yeah, it's like the nonsense of The Rock saying, oh yeah, Black Manta was my favorite character.
Black Adam.
Oh yeah, sorry, Black Adam was my favorite character. I was like, really? Let's do the math. Like, did you read the random DC comics from the 70s where they brought Shazam back and Black Adam was in like 2 issues and he was your favorite character? He's
got a thing for elf ears, bro.
Unless he was like, oh yeah, the Jeff Johns like reboot of JSA is where I became a fan. Then I'd be like, okay, so The Rock started reading that when he was in his mid-30s, blah blah blah. It's like sometimes these things are like, yeah, I love this character. Maybe Momoa is. Maybe he was like, hey, I have the
Momoa's like a combination of like Hulk Hogan and Lobo.
Well, he is. I mean, I think it's great. It's like the most, like, that makes more sense than him being Aquaman, right? Like, I think he's fine as Aquaman.
I think Peter David's Aquaman had a big inspiration in the casting of Momoa, and I think Snyder kind of took a hard left, with certain things. I think I could see that, like, okay, this fits.
The only way that Momoa's Aquaman works for me, if I'm like, okay, it's inspired by Brave and the Bold, the bravado Aquaman, like,
I don't think Batman, it is.
This is the adventure of under the sea, it's who he is, but like, I feel like that's when I read Peter David's Aquaman, I never got Momoa's like take at all.
I was just talking physically.
Oh, physically.
I'm looking at him physically because
with the hair and everything.
Yeah, gotcha. Because as opposed to the robot chicken weakling Aquaman, like that version of Aquaman, like physically, I get what they were doing and what they saw and what they thought they needed to do to make Aquaman successful, and I think it worked. I think that Aquaman's a nice blend because it is a take. Like, we can all agree that's a take on Aquaman.
It's a take.
I think it's a successful take.
I guess it's just I would play down the biker WWF stuff a little less, like that's what I feel.
Well, I think as he grows into the role, I would just say natural progression. That's he started like he would change. Like he's kind of becoming. I think in that trailer we saw he became a little more traditional Arthur Curry. Like it seems like
there's some stuff where he's like, I'm gonna knock down this big building and like.
But that's it. He's with his brother and he's acting like an idiot. Like that's all.
Yeah, I never got that.
I get what you're saying.
Again, I don't want to be like Eric would say, like that's the comics. Like, go read your comics. Like, this is a take. It's just like, I think that if you're going to typecast, if you're going to say, let's cast the perfect Lobo, I'm like, oh yeah, Jason Momoa makes a lot of sense. That is the thing that if there was any like perfect casting, like Iron Man, Robert Downey Jr. type of situation, Jason Momoa as Lobo, that's like, that makes sense. Why didn't they do that? Like, I mean, there was rumors The Rock was going to be Lobo. I remember there's like The Rock was going to be everybody for a long time. Like, they've been talking about
he was going to be
Lobo.
Captain Marvel and The Rock at one point, wasn't he?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, and Black Adam.
Yeah, he was up for everything. Jon Stewart, he was up for every character that was like, yeah, we're going to do this. I bet you The Rock can do it, So anywho, like, here's what I wanted to send your way, Pete. If Aquaman 2, if this is the fluke and it makes $1 billion again,
there has to be a third one.
Yeah, you can't.
I'm sorry. I'm with you 100% on that.
Yeah,
Justin.
yeah. Even Momoa said as much. Like, I remember there was an article where he was like, "Yeah."
But do you honestly think, like, I don't know, maybe I'm just beat down by the recent run of DC movies, basically starting with Black Adam.
Yeah.
Do you think this movie is going to make $1 billion?
No.
Do you think this movie is going to be even received well, based on what we've heard of?
It's the hard one, because here's the thing. Again, and we've talked about this before. We pay attention to all this stuff, right? Because this is kind of like what we're interested in, right?
We're so overinformed.
Yeah, we're way overinformed, but everyone else isn't. No one else really cared about that Variety article. Like, I used my sister as the barometer.
Mm-hmm.
She probably didn't read that. She heard about the Ezra Miller stuff because it was more of like, that
was the news.
She didn't know about the behind the scenes movie drama. She knew about, this guy,
he's doing some crazy things.
He was robbing people and all this other stuff. Now she would probably go, I heard Amber Heard pooped in a bed, right? She would say that.
Yeah.
But she wouldn't,
especially since that went down during COVID. Like, that's all that was
Yeah, that was the news. So as far as all this movie stuff going, she would probably be like, she's still in this thing. She's in this movie. Jason Momoa. Oh, Aquaman. I like Aquaman. Like, that's all. That's where she would go. So she's my barometer for GA, like, knowledge on this stuff. So maybe they're like, I don't think they're even going, this is a DC Universe film. I think people are like, Aquaman. I like that. A couple 4 years ago. Let's watch the next one.
I mean, you're probably right, because like, what do they see? No one went to see Justice League. Zack Snyder's Justice League. GA. I don't think the GA knows too much about.
Yeah.
So I guess it's basically his own movie, which has good word of mouth. I don't know. I mean, it is good. I believe it's going to get a China. I forget. I mean, I believe it'll get a China release, and this is where it was huge. The first one.
So cool. So if that happens, I don't know if Lobo's happening.
Why can't he do both?
Nah, because James Gunn said no one's. I think he even like made I think he was.
I don't know. Like, you can't. Aquaman 3 can't be a Black Label Aquaman solo movie. Like, what? I'm just saying. Like, why wouldn't they? Let's just say it goes gangbusters.
Yeah.
Let's say it's a huge hit.
If it's a huge hit,
how do they say no?
If it's a huge hit, it's folded.
I don't think it will be, but
yeah. Like, so that's interesting. Let's talk about Let's talk about option 1. Aquaman 2 is a huge hit. Like, it makes more than the first. Let's say it makes more than the first.
So just for shits and giggles, $1.5 billion.
Yeah. They're like, shoot, people love freaking Jason Momoa, Aquaman. We got to make a third one. Like, he's got to be part of this universe.
It can't be in the tier with the Batman, with Joker, with Superman and Lois. That tier was on a slate, and they showed us that.
Because they've already, like, this guy's part of the DC universe. You can't. Here's the thing: you can't put him in a universe, pull him out, and then say, no, he's isolated.
You're not pulling him out. He's the only character in that universe you're seeing.
Because, I mean, fair enough.
It's essentially a movie before the MCU blew up. It's a solo superhero film. It doesn't need any. If you can make it, I don't think Aquaman has more villains. I think you've used them up all in 2 movies. So you cut while you're ahead. You know what I'm saying?
He can just fight the King Shark or something. But
I think yes. Sure.
People like James Gunn likes him. So I would say he gets folded in. Like, when he talked about like Blue Beetle and Suicide Squad, Amanda Waller, John Cena, all these guys, they're moving forward. I think what it does And we'll get into the other stuff later, or we can get into it now, or they just said none of Zack Snyder's cast returning. That's just this chick. Like, that's the thing. Like, this is a random article. Some reporter said this, like, this is their official announcement. They're not moving forward. I still think Gal's a part of this stuff. That's just me.
To be honest, I don't know anymore.
Well, I mean, I don't know anything.
I go back and forth.
My gut.
I think the fresh restart needs to be done, but it doesn't seem that he's doing that because it seems like the Suicide Squad sector is perfect.
My friend Pete, I gotta say this. Here's why you can't completely hard reboot. Here's why.
Because Aquaman 2 is going to be a hit.
Because Aquaman 2, well, no, not because of that, but because there's not enough time between these things. That's the thing. There's still a little bit of like, oh, I like Peacemaker. Like and you're still delving, you're doing shows based on this universe. You're doing Amanda Waller, you're doing Peacemaker. You've publicly said, hey, Blue Beetle, the movie that made the less money, that he's a part of this thing because they're like, it doesn't contradict anything. We like that kid. Sure, he's Blue Beetle. When's he showing up next? I don't know, but you can say
probably never.
Yeah, who knows? But that's why it's hard to do a completely hard reboot, right? I don't think a lot of people are going to care that, like, oh, there's a Superman film. Is this Cavill? No, it's just Superman. They're just going to be like, hey, this is a Superman film.
Normal people will get over it real quick.
Most people are going to go, hey, he looks like that old guy. He looks like the other Superman. Like, every Superman kind of looks like the last guy who played him. Like, there's a little bit of there's a Superman look, but like, part of me thinks James Gunn was like, okay, he looks enough like Henry Cavill. We can move forward and like mix and match if we have to. I think people still love Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. She can still make it happen.
I agree.
Jason Momoa's movie just made another $1 billion. We got to keep him as Aquaman. So maybe he stays for a little bit. That's the problem. Now, if Aquaman bombs, if it just tanks to the bottom of the sea, like the Little Mermaid film, right? Then James Gunn can be like, hey, it didn't work out. All right, you're going to be Lobo. Like, Lobo depends. Because here's the thing. The DC universe does not hinge on Lobo, right? Lobo is like, oh, that could be fun. I don't think he's going to drive a main storyline. It could be a fun character that shows up. Lobo works when he's a guest star.
Well, here they go. That's where they said the character that may get a solo movie or may appear.
What is this
in Superman Legacy?
That's where I'm like, I'm waiting for that James Gunn, like,
he hasn't said anything. It's been a couple days. We're not like recording the article.
Part of me is like, okay, if he doesn't say anything,
and Siegel's been doing this for years. She's a pro. She's one of the better ones.
Yeah, who knows? Like, that's the part where I'm like, who knows? A lot of people say stuff. They might be informed a little bit. She said nothing about Ray Fisher. So is there a Ray Fisher cyborg movie coming? And I know there's not, but I'm saying,
I mean, I think that we all know.
I know. But I'm just saying she mentioned Gal Gadot, Ben Affleck, Henry Cavill, Ezra Miller, Jason Momoa. She mentioned them and like, hey, they're not returning to the Snyder. The Snyder characters are not returning to the James.
Well, maybe he is. I don't know. Maybe Rebel Moon is just that good.
Maybe, but I would say this, and again, quote me, whatever you want to say. I would say the jury is still out on Momoa and Gadot. That's all I would say.
I think Momoa, yes, people love Gal, but I think she's gone. I think he everything that's not his is gone. But I think Aquaman plays an interesting predicament.
If Aquaman 2 makes money, then I would say Gadot and Momoa can stay. Everyone else can go. Yeah, they can Gal Gadot. They can Gal Gadot. Go. Yeah. Just because part of me is like, okay, well, this could work. We like, Jason Momoa. Stay with us.
I don't know. I think Momoa is a bright rising star in Hollywood and everything. He seems to be pretty popular. People love him.
Yeah.
He's got an interesting look.
It would be fun, but here's the thing. I will say it'll be fun to see him as Lobo. I think I would prefer not like my if I want to go to my DC sensibilities, how I like to see things. I would prefer him to play Lobo. Sure,
he'd be playing himself.
He would just be like,
in
slamming drinks, and it would be cool to see him in an alien bar, being in a fight. The Green Lantern show up, and he's just like, hey, you bastard, boom, boom, boom. Like,
but Lobo, I don't know. Maybe that's why he was so pumped. Maybe he's gonna fight. Maybe he's gonna do a Black Adam couldn't fight Superman in Legacy.
Yeah, he's like, hey, this is the fight. He's gonna be.
It's a good thing
gonna change.
It's a good thing you're here because like we talked about. I think we talked about this in the last show, but like this is another thing. Like again, Superman Legacy, and they mentioned another DC character, and it's like, oh god, like there's
for me, I'm like, throw me another character, dude.
You're just, I know it's I'm like, who, what else is gonna happen? This feels like an episode of like Justice League Unlimited.
Yeah, why not, dude? Superman's the
that's
greatest.
what it feels like. That's what it feels like. I feel like this episode's all gonna happen on the Watchtower.
Yeah. Well, that was it. It was weird.
This
like,
movie,
why did she say that? Why did she say that? Maybe is Lobo like a problem in the city? Is he fighting?
I don't know.
Is that where?
I mean, what was that? The Superman animated movie that came out with Parasite, and he was hunting him down. He's the last Kryptonian. You know, it's been adapted. Tim did it with Superman the animated series too. Lobo made an appearance there. So
yeah, I don't know, man.
I think it'd be cool. It'd be different. It'd be more of a if you want to see Superman actually, you know, go toe to toe with something. But then again, like that's what Man of Steel was.
It would just mean that we don't see Aquaman again for a while. So if it bombs, we don't see Aquaman for a while, and then when we do see him, he'll be a little more.
I honestly think he could do both. To be honest, I don't know why he wouldn't do both. It just
well, I personally,
he's an actor. He needs to work. They're going to give him a job. It's just like I don't know. Like, is that just too black and white for me to think about?
I don't think he's going to be. Well, James Gunn said actors will not play two different roles. He just said that's flat out. They won't do that. He said that at that January meeting.
Okay, all right.
But and I think it would just be kind of dumb to like do both. Like you're Aquaman. It would be like someone being I'm Spider-Man, but I'm also Nova or something like that. You know, like playing a main, you're playing a top tier and then kind of a C list. Like it just doesn't make sense, dude. Like at that point,
whatever. I me personally, I could care less, to be honest.
No,
but
for me,
I thought it'd be interesting, but. I was more concerned when they mentioned legacies. I'm like, oh god.
Unless you're like completely in like CG, like what's his face? The dude that plays the wizard, Damon. What's his name? DCU. He played like a fish king in Aquaman, but he also played the wizard.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
For me, okay, because you're
all right. Someone's already done
it. yeah. All right, and and it's happened in Marvel a little bit. Like you had the guy who's going to play Blade. He was in a Power Man. You know,
Vito in The Sopranos. He played like random guy in a deli. And Christopher scared him off, and then he came back as Vito. So
so it happens. It happens. Like so, yeah. Like in what was it, Civil War? Alfre Woodard, she was in there, but she also played like Black Mariah on Luke Cage. So there's been a few instances. I guess there's only so many actors, but anyways, there's enough of that.
Well, it's funny you mentioned like James Gunn and his authority and what he says, because the article also states that how DC Films or whatever doesn't really have a Kevin Feige like type person. They still have like where it's as Marvel makes them and Disney just distributes the shows. It's like more like HBO Max has more. I don't know. I just took it as companies are run differently.
For me, I was like, is that true though? Because it sounds like I actually feel like that's like someone who wasn't super like informed, only because James Gunn was like, the DC Films universe or DCU is going to be run across movies, television, animation, video games. He was pretty, I mean, I take it with a grain of salt, like the video game stuff. But he also said the DC universe will be more like the Star Wars universe, where like certain like places in time, a story may be taken like, hey, this is 10 years in the past, this one is 10 years in the future, this is now, and so the timeline can jump around. I mean, so that makes sense.
Okay, whatever. How about you just make me a damn Superman game? I've been waiting since Superman Returns for a new one.
Maybe you'll get one.
Started. I hope so.
Maybe it'll be Superman.
I want to do something other than fight a giant tornado.
Yeah, right. If I don't fly through rings, I'm gonna be pissed.
If I don't, Superman 64 is one of the worst games. Can
you imagine like you're Superman? You're just breaking buildings. I would love that. Like
I still have Superman Returns for my 360, my Xbox 360. I play it every once in a while. It brings back some memories. It's cool. Superman looks great, but you're mostly fighting Brainiacs, robots, and the big.
I wish this happened in the movie. I wish you would have fought some robots.
Yeah, Metropolis is like this island city covered by a giant like mountain surrounded by water. It's very interesting. It's cool.
Level 2 stock Lois.
It's I had fun with it.
Hey, you remember
yeah,
in Superman Returns, his like when he has his kid at the end, he's wearing
yeah,
Aquaman pajamas.
it's all connected.
It's all connected,
It's
dude.
all connected, dude.
That's what we're talking
That's
about.
funny.
So yeah. So yeah, Pete.
Oh.
Here's where I'm a little more optimistic on this, and I don't say this out of ignorance.
I'm very cautious. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, okay, if I'm gonna shoot, like, what does my gut say? My gut says they're all out. Even if Aquaman 2 makes $1 billion, we're like, well, that was unfortunate.
I think that's the most logical explanation.
But we're rebooting all these suckers. It's just the best move. But James Gunn deciding to use like some stuff, that's the thing that makes it like, well, you can still add these other characters. That's the part where I keep going back to, like, but if you're using Amanda Waller, who was incredible, right? Like, she was great.
Davis,
yeah, she was great.
She's great in everything, even Black Adam.
Yeah, I mean, she was great. I mean, I didn't like that the Justice Society was at her disposal. That was kind of weird, but like, it has nothing to do with how she like portrayed the character, you know.
When I was watching, I was like, so where were these people during BVS or Man of Steel?
Well, yeah. There you go. Yeah, Hawkman. That would have been that would have been really helpful. But you can be like, what's that guy? What's the animator guy who was like, oh yeah, the Flash was saving people, and when Superman was breaking buildings, the Flash was there saving them now.
Yeah, that made sense.
I mean, it makes sense, but yeah, whatever.
So
whatever. All right, James Gunn, DC Films, make it happen.
Hey y'all, it's Bill Ramey, founder of Batman on Film. Let's take a quick pause in this podcast for these words from our sponsor.
I don't know, man. It's just these recent movies. I feel like Aquaman is just going to be like everything else. I enjoyed it, and it's going to get trashed. You know, it's just like, that's just kind of where I am. And just, to be honest, as a fan, I'm tired of saying, yeah, I like this. I got why everybody else didn't get it. It's kind of sucks for them. Yeah. I enjoyed it. Like, I'm just tired of being like that. I want to be like, yeah, this is great.
Well, yeah, man.
This is fun.
the thing that's funny is that, you know, you see a lot of this fandom stuff online, and they're like, James Gunn's already, like, you know, destroyed DC. He had very little to do. I'm sure it was like, his notes were like, take that out, because we're going to be doing something different moving forward. You know, don't have any tethers. So I don't feel like any of these movies that haven't done well are because James Gunn's like notes. I feel like it's just like, hey,
no, I don't think whatever version of the Flash, I think specifically, I feel like that's what you're talking about.
Yeah. Well, right? No, I'm talking about every one of them, like Black Adam,
mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like it's an enjoyable, like, kind of 90s superheroes film, but it wasn't good. It wasn't like a great fun. Like, no, it was fun, but it wasn't a great movie.
I didn't expect it to be, though.
But here's the thing.
I just expect to be like a popcorn munching, rock'em sock'em robot.
Well, yeah, but like the way The Rock built it up, the hierarchy of power is going to change.
But that's what he does. He's a wrestler.
No, I know.
All his movies.
It was like, oh, this was really structurally not that great. Like, the villain sucked, dude. Like, why? Yeah. Why? Who was the villain again? Who was the villain?
Sabak.
Who the heck's Sabak? Like, you barely know him, right?
Yeah, he's basically like the Hell's version of Shazam, essentially.
Yeah. So there you go, and then you have that goofy like wannabe Freddie Freeman character. Like it was just not a great film. So, I think it made the most out of all these DC films though that did come out. Made more than Flash. Made more than Shazam 2. Shazam 2, I actually thought it was fun. Like, I
really dig the two Shazam movies. I really do.
Yeah, they're good, but I can be objective and go, who are the old lady villains? Like, who cares about them? Like, they're not real comic book villains. It's kind of like if Max Schreck was the main villain in Batman Returns, like, that's a bummer. Like, we need the Penguin and Catwoman.
Well, he kind of is, to be honest with you.
Well, yeah, and I love Max Schreck, but bad example. But what I'm saying is, like, it's like Shazam 2 would have been better if it was Shazam versus Black Adam, right?
Here's the thing, and that Shazam is a character. I guess some people are going to kill me. Like, how many movies are you going to get at Shazam? I guess you're trying for 3 because you have to have Savannah, Mr. Mind, and eventually Black Adam.
Yeah,
like, is that it? Those are your 3 movies, and one of them.
Yeah, and then put him in Justice League or something.
I dug how Sandberg kind of created his own villain. I thought it made sense. The Daughters of the Gods, with what he was doing.
It wasn't bad. It wasn't. I actually liked the film. Like I thought it was fine.
And the kids are great. Everything that they did in the first one, they did in the second one, I enjoyed. I'm a big fan of Sandberg.
Yeah, I think
I'm a big fan of Juan too. To be honest with you.
I think it was an enjoyable film, but it wasn't like. And I think like James Gunn was saying, like these films need to be like, they need to be a higher level of production and entertainment and
Really?
writing.
I don't know, man, because to me, The Flash hits those notes. I know the CGI is weird, and I've watched some videos and I've talked to some people, and Hoss has pointed some things out, and I get that, and I totally understand that. But like, I'm like, well, how it's a movie? It's not real to begin with.
I thought, I
can turn that stuff off.
Yeah, The Flash for me was enjoyable, and my issues aren't the CGI. I can get how that can be an issue. Like it looked goofy, and my whole conceit is like, you have to tell me that that's why the world looks like that, because as a watcher, I'm like, this doesn't look great. But if you're like, oh, if he just would have been like, hey, when I run fast, things look weird and plasticky, like, oh, okay, I get that. You got to like at least tell it to me so I get it. But I think like I said before on another show, I think more people were aware of Ezra Miller's nonsense than
I definitely think it played a part in it.
Yeah, I think it played a part. And
between that and the strike, I think that's honestly what killed it.
Yeah, because I think if you had Michael Keaton on Jimmy Fallon and all the other Jimmys and whoever else.
And this article states Momoa's not doing pub. Amber Heard's definitely not doing pub.
Why? So really? Momoa's not doing any.
Momoa's not doing because of the strike.
Why?
Well, he's a part of that. He's a part of that.
Will be over by December, hopefully. Like he'll be able to.
As of right until basically until there is a resolution, he can't do anything anymore. Which I think hurts because, like we said, we think he's a rising star. We think people love him. Yeah. I think that hurts, and I think you're right. I think Keaton going on the Tonight Show would have helped the movie.
It would have helped out a lot because
I think George Lopez going on the Tonight Show would have helped the movie. Like Blue Beetle. Like I think those are big parts of this stuff.
Yeah. Okay, so I was gonna get to that. Like, so Blue Beetle, I just watched it 2 weeks ago. It was all right. I felt like, dang, a lot of people hyped it up. I thought it was just okay. Again,
it's okay.
The villain sucked. I was like, who's this villain? Like, I know he's in the comics.
Like you hear OMAC and you kind of get your hopes up, right?
Yeah, I know I was like, oh, and we didn't get any of that, the sweet OMAC stuff.
Yeah, he wasn't even blue. So, I was like, they definitely didn't want two blue robots fighting each other.
Yeah, yes, and stuff like that. That matters to me as a fan.
I agree.
So I thought Blue Beetle was real, like. It was okay. I thought it was like a level below Fury of the Gods for me. I was like,
I think
but I liked Zolo. He was great. Like I thought he was great as Blue Beetle.
He's as charismatic as anyone I've ever seen.
And the tease of like seeing the bug, the Blue Beetle's bug.
All the Ted Kord stuff, I have to say, was masterfully done. Like not many comic book movies pull off teases and kind of like foreshadowing all that stuff like that. I do think the chick who played Jenny Kord was horrible. She's a horrible actress. She's just bad.
Yeah, she was awful.
I was like, oh my god, she's ruining every scene.
Yeah, and then his Ted Kord's sister, Susan Sarandon.
Oh my god, Sarandon. She
was awful.
Sweetheart, what is going on here?
Yeah, she was. It reminded me. It's funny because her and
wasn't that supposed to be Sharon Stone?
Was it supposed to be?
I believe it was supposed to be Sharon Stone. I was going to say Pfeiffer, but no, it's supposed to be Sharon Stone. But Sharon Stone backed out.
No, smart. She was like, "Hey, I already did a bad DC film. I don't need to do another one, right?"
Sharon Stone.
She was in Catwoman.
I've never seen that.
I've never seen it either, but she was in. I just know she was in it.
I know Haas loves it.
Yeah, well, Haas loves stuff. But like,
Haas watches it for his birthday every year.
He was equally as bad as Tim Robbins was in Green Lantern. Tim Robbins, her ex-boyfriend, husband, whatever, was in Green Lantern. And he was
was he?
Awful. He was awful. Yeah, he played Hector Hammond's dad, and he was terrible in that film.
Yeah,
she was kind of unrecognizable. Yeah, she was just as. I just thought like. Why? Like, no one was on set going, man, this is bad. This is, rein it in, Susan.
I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that at one point I could see the difference between HBO Max and Phil. Like, to me, I could tell what was what.
I don't buy that.
I do.
You can have a bad performance because you're on TV. I just thought it was bad.
No, I think at some points people weren't as dialed in as others.
Yeah, I thought the effects and everything were good. Again, I liked him. I liked the family stuff. The villain,
Grandma was great. Sister was great.
Yeah, Grandma was great. Like again, the tease of Blue Beetle, like Ted Kord at the end. Even seeing his suit, I was like, "Oh shoot!" Like even them
Yeah.
talking about him. Because I'm a Ted Cord guy. Like I love the Justice League International stuff. That's why I'm like,
Yeah.
ooh, Guy Gardner, bring him on.
R.I.P.
Like
to Mr. Giffen.
yeah, oh yeah, R.I.P. to Mr. Giffen. Yeah, it was. Side note, I met him one time and he was so rude to me, and it makes sense. It felt like it's in character.
Okay, I guess it makes sense. He's a little Guy Gardner.
he was kind of a like a cranky guy. But anywho, yeah, R.I.P. Keith Giffen. But yeah, like so Blue Beetle for me, it was like, yeah, I'm not surprised it didn't do super well because it wasn't that great, but also they couldn't promote it, and that sucks, man. I feel for the cast.
Hurts.
I feel for anyone who works on something hard and just doesn't connect, but I guess that's the Hollywood game.
But that's the first movie in the DCU, so we're off to a good start.
No, he's the first. He's the first character.
Whatever that means.
Yeah. But yeah. So anywho, it all kicks off with Superman Legacy, starring Jason Momoa as
Lobo. Superman and Justice League Legacy. Yeah. I think this is just Justice League 2, to be honest. I'm ready to not truly Justice
They're
League.
They're gonna be like, hey, this is Justice League Legacy. That's what we're gonna call this.
It's got that vibe to it, if you ask me. Yeah. It's actually more Justice Society between Mr. Terrific and Hawkgirl, right?
I know we are getting more Justice Society. I just don't think that this article is 100% accurate either. I feel like there's a little bit of guessing.
You're calling fake news on this?
I'm not calling fake news. I'm calling like it's 50-50.
All right. Okay.
But I could be wrong. Like I don't care.
I don't know. I trust her. I think she's a good writer.
I don't care about being wrong.
She sold after her piece on John. If you guys have never read Tatiana Siegel's article, I think it was for THR on John Peters. Do yourself a favor and go read that. It is one of the most fascinating things you'll ever read. So I've been a fan.
Oh, really? Does it talk about like his
everything,
hairdresser,
everything? It is an absolutely wonderful piece on everything.
Did you ever hear him on Joe Rogan?
He was on Joe Rogan.
Yeah, maybe a year ago, and it was like
I have to.
I gotta find it, dude. It's like I don't even think the episode lasted that long because he just kept interrupting Joe Rogan.
Well, Peters thinks he's God's gift to the world.
Oh, and yeah, he definitely did. And he talked about training and doing karate and all that stuff. And Rogan was trying. He's like, Batman was great. And he like when he starts talking about Batman, it's hilarious. So yeah, you track that one down. Dude.
Okay.
Yeah, it had to be a year.
So I don't know. I trust Siegel when she comes. She's been doing this stuff for a long time. She's worked for a bunch of these trades. So
yeah, it is interesting. Like usually Gunn's like, that's not true. Like he refutes it.
He hasn't called anything out since it's been.
But
written.
he's been a little quiet too. He's been a little quiet.
Well, good. He's got to write like a show and a movie.
Yeah, he's writing Peacemaker 2 right now, which is part of the DC universe.
Which is interesting. I don't know if did you listen to the last social I did with the editor in chief?
No, I haven't had a chance to listen to it this week.
And
I listened to the Batman Book Club. That's all I listened to.
Well, who doesn't?
It's loud. Hey, your haunted favorites of Batman. I'm Garrett Greb. Garrett Greb can't handle blood, so we're gonna listen to this little sorry sad sap story.
So I don't know. I just the fact that Gunn hasn't said anything. I think it's kind of telling this. And this where's the date on this here? I'm trying to find a date.
Yeah, I think it was earlier in the week, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't.
I'm gonna give it at least like 5 days. This thing's been dropped for 5 days at least. It wasn't Friday, it wasn't Thursday, whatever. So like, and I don't care how busy he is. You know, I feel like he mostly does his tweeting while he's on the John. He's definitely dropping a couple deuces. Mm-hmm. He's definitely on Twitter scrolling, man. He knows what's being said. People are asking him a bunch of questions. Has he ever answered any of your questions? Have you ever asked him a question?
No, I've never said anything. Maybe
no,
I don't know.
Maybe you should. I feel like you got a lot of. You're crazy. You can come up with something interesting. He'd probably answer. You know.
I'd be like, hey, is John Jones gonna eat Oreos?
You're gonna write something, and me and Hoss will have a side text about like, can you believe what Kowalski said? He's so insane.
I'm like, I don't know. Like if he responds, great. It doesn't mean anything. I had Wesley Snipes respond to me one time. That was cool. That was about as high as my my internet accolades are gonna go. I drew a picture of Blade, and he was like, "This is it," and I'm like, "That's right."
Nice. Wow.
I was like, validated. I was like, "Hey, babe," I showed my wife. Look at Wesley Snipes like my picture of Blade, and she's like, "Oh, that's cool, babe." And then she
Well,
showed her,
it's
her
funny
whole
that you
family.
mentioned Blade because
Oh, tell me, Pete.
not only not only is there some DC drama, but I thought this was interesting because there's Marvel's basically having some trouble of its own.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it's interesting because people complain, all we ever hear is DC stuff, and it's kind of, I don't know if it's refreshing or whatnot, but like between Daredevil and Blade, like Marvel's got their hands full. Like Blade, Marvel's basically starting from scratch on both. And it's like Daredevil, they filmed a bunch of episodes and they're just canning everything. So
yeah,
it happens, man.
I heard that get refuted a little bit by Vincent D'Onofrio. Like, I'm not saying they're not retooling, but
that's his job, though.
Yeah, I mean,
he's the most vocal of the cast. Like, I don't know if Charlie Cox tweets too much.
I don't care, to be honest. I'm at the point where I'm like, I don't care. Like, if you got to refilm it, I just want it to be good when it comes out.
Yeah, no,
like,
I'm with you. Yeah, you didn't like the She-Hulk stuff in Daredevil, huh? Or the Daredevil stuff in She-Hulk.
I thought She-Hulk was fine because I've read a handful of issues of She-Hulk, so it made sense to me.
She's actually got a new series dropping this week.
Yeah, people who didn't like it, I'm like, okay, well, you probably never read the comic, which makes sense because not a lot of people read She-Hulk comics, right? Like, I've barely read She-Hulk, but I've seen a couple issues.
It's got to be a recommendation. No one, someone's got to tell you to read this. So I was told to read it. Someone told me to read it.
Yeah, it's not going to be like Winter Soldier, right? It's not going to be like that level of like,
no, that's like it's definitely like inside baseball. But yeah, if you like, it's like. It's like someone's like, oh man, I've read Burns' Fantastic Four and his Superman, and it's just like, what else you got? And they're like, She-Hulk.
That's what's cool about. Okay, so that's the bigger conversation with these comic stuff, these comic things, is Marvel movies aren't always going to be the same, and I still argue that they're all not the same. Like Eternals is not Guardians of the Galaxy.
No, I think recently they've pivoted, and I actually think it's probably why they're not as successful.
Really? See, I think they started off that way.
I agree with you. I 100% agree with you, but it's not.
But I think they've
blew them up.
I think a lot of the films are not the same. I think the Ant-Man films are more comedy heist films. I think the Captain America films have all been like kind of like pretty straightforward, like action political thrillers. The Iron Man are kind of like superhero fun. The Avengers are what they are. Guardians, space opera. Heartstring. Funny. Like, I feel like the films have all been different. Black Panther, like,
Black Panther. Oh, the Black Panther movies are just different among themselves.
Yeah, so Eternals, just boring slog. Like, the films have all been. I feel like
I like the movie, but I agree it's a little boring.
When someone's like, "Oh, it's a Marvel film," I'm like, that's just a weak, like fanboy, like attack on stuff. I don't think it's
Jesus. Just
true.
Say I said it already.
No, I don't think you said it. I don't think you said it. But
I attack a lot of their stuff for being. But
when someone says like, "Oh," like, but you get like these Snyder fanboys that are like, "Oh, Aquaman's like a Snyder take."
Oh yeah, because they MCU'd this. Yeah,
the MCU, DC. I'm like, I don't think so. I don't buy it. So. But that being said,
there's definitely notes taken.
That being said, I feel like the last few Marvel films haven't connected as much, and there's a lot of factors.
I read something recently that they were surprised that Ant-Man bombed the way it did.
I saw that too, and I was like, "Oh, dude, Ant-Man." I thought I had fun with it, but I can see that it was.
Well, I think they built it up too much.
It was, for me, it's on that same level as like Fury of the Gods. It was fine, but it wasn't like, oh shoot, did you see Ant-Man 3? I didn't. I was like, oh yeah, it was fine.
The first one is really good. The second one takes a step back, but I enjoy it. The third
one,
the
fight with Kang was just beating the crap out of Ant-Man. I was like, oh dang, like Ant-Man, you're gonna die, dude. They should have killed Ant-Man. That would have been major. Like, oh shoot, you killed Ant-Man?
Dude, I was surprised they killed Loki, to be honest. I know they brought him back, but I actually think I actually kind of dig that as one of the things they did to give them credit.
I think they should have killed Ant-Man in that film.
I didn't like
that. Would have been like. That would have been like, oh shoot, Ant-Man's dead. You guys killed Ant-Man. Like, that would have been ballsy, but they didn't do it. So whatever. Like, but was it a bad film? No, but I think they were like that was Marvel swinging their ball sack around, like, yo, we can do whatever we want.
I think they've been doing that for a while, and I think it's except for Spider-Man, I don't think it's hit.
But I think Ant-Man was like like you said, no one that people didn't go nuts for this thing. Yeah, because it didn't. There was something missing, and I think I'm glad.
But no one ever went nuts
like,
for Ant-Man to begin with.
Yeah, but no, that's not true because those movies made money. That's why
They made money, but like Ant-Man,
Why is there 3 Ant-Man movies?
No, I think they're good movies. I do, but I think if you're gonna, it's not that type of movie. It's not that type of character. Like, he can be successful and make movies, yes.
Yeah.
But I think you overvalued Ant-Man. I just think they did.
I mean, and someone, I don't know who said it, was like, do we need 3 Ant-Man movies? Someone said that. I don't know who said it.
I say it all the time.
I agree.
Do we need 3 Thor movies? I don't think so, because I think you take Dark World, and if we just had the first and third.
I don't know, man. After Love and Thunder, you're like, Dark World wasn't that bad.
I really liked Love and Thunder, man, which is funny.
I'm like, yeah. You took your like last original member of the Avengers and like, oh, this one wasn't great. Peace out, Thor.
That's funny.
But yeah, I'm okay if they reboot or not reboot, if they shoot, the Daredevil stuff. That's part of making TV shows and movies anyways. They re-stuff. Like, hey, this isn't working.
Well, it's funny because Loki had no reshoots.
You can't mess up Daredevil. And they said something interesting. What was the article? I don't know what the article was, Pete, but it was like Marvel's been making, what they've been making is 6-hour movies instead of 8-hour TV shows.
Their philosophy is we'll fix it in post.
Yeah, and you know what? That's a terrible way to. That's a terrible way. That's stressful. It's like, how do we?
Well, apparently that's the way that it was. I think it was. It was the THR article on Daredevil that said that. And yeah, that's they basically make their TV shows the way they make movies, and they'll fix everything in post. And apparently you can't do that in TV.
Yeah, you can't do that no more. I think that's a bad way to go.
But I think they did get a little overconfident.
Yeah.
And we've heard this before. I mean, even during the She-Hulk times, they said the writers were running thin, and then you find out that the visual effects guys are now forming a union because they're being worked to the bone. Like, if you were following the breadcrumbs, it's there. Like they've been struggling. It's not as smooth sailing as it used to be over there.
And I say good.
And they've got to adapt. That's what they have to do.
Got to adapt, and I think you have to work hard. You have to work hard, and you have to, write strong stories. People will always, I think, respond to a well-crafted story. Extenuating circumstances like Ezra Miller, those are going to happen. It's not a sure thing, but I think if your story is tight, that's why I'm like, those Guardians films are A+. I love every single one of them. I don't think
Amber Heard can sink Aquaman. I don't think she'll have an Ezra Miller effect.
I don't think she can. It's hard to say, man. It's hard to say. We'll see what happens in December. I think people like Jason Momoa, if he's able to go on a talk show and promote that sucker, God bless. Let's see what happens.
Yeah,
that's good. Like someone somewhere is going, if this movie makes $1 billion, we have to keep moving forward with Aquaman. Which means we have to move forward with Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. And I think they could, man. They put Gal Gadot in the first episode of Amazon. I don't think one necessarily
means another, but
I do.
I think you look at them on an individual basis.
Because they're the only ones that are like, every one of those characters, every one of those original characters, taking it back to the beginning, the full circle, Cavill's box office poison, according to WB, right? Like he didn't bring butts.
Yeah, but Gadot had one hit, one not. If Momoa has two hits, man,
people, you can't put. I would push back on Wonder Woman 84 because the freaking day or the next day they're all Wonder Woman 3. So they were happy enough with the results that they greenlit a sequel, a third one, right? They were like, let's do this.
That was before the reboot.
Yeah, I know it was, but it still said they were like, hey, we're all about her as Wonder Woman. So I'm just taking what their actions have said.
I think the Wonder Woman stuff's probably some of the more confusing. He said, she said, woulda, coulda, coulda, shoulda.
No, it totally is. But I'm saying that out of every one of those cast members, there was only 2 that connected: Gal Gadot and Jason Momoa. Everyone else didn't. Let me know. Let me know how many people love Henry Cavill as Superman. If they did, then Black Adam would have made $1 billion. That's
depending on what sector of Twitter you're on.
Even those, like, I don't even care about those people because those people, it's vocal minority of nonsense, right? Like, then show up and go and watch if Black Adam would have made $1 billion and Henry Cavill would still be Superman right now. That's a fact. That's a freaking fact.
That's a good point.
Dude.
No, yeah.
Like, if they were like, oh yeah, we're hungry for Henry Cavill Superman, dude. Right on. And I like Henry Cavill as Superman.
Pointing out the frauds.
but no one cared. Ben Affleck was like, I'm done being Batman. As much as people go, oh, he came back for Zack Snyder to hang out in his garage.
He came back for the Flash too.
Who cares? Who cares? He was done. He was done. Right. There's that crisis stuff they were talking about. So maybe he would have came back one more time.
Yeah, that's done. That went out the door with Hamada.
Yeah. Ezra Miller did his thing. Don't need to say anything else. Ray Fisher, he pretty much complained himself out of a job. The only ones that are still standing are Gal Gadot and Jason Momoa. That's why I'm like, if James Gunn's like, some people will stay, some people won't. I think there's a space for Gal Gadot. I think there's a space for Jason Momoa. But if Aquaman 2 bombs, then you can easily go, let's just wipe the slate clean with these guys. So it is. I feel like Aquaman 2 is an enigma. It's like, this makes $1 billion. We got to use them. If not, you're Lobo. If not, you're still Aquaman. So Jason Momoa is going to get a check regardless. He's in. If Lobo's we don't even know if Lobo's a thing. But if Lobo's a thing, like everyone says, like my boy Pete, then Jason Momoa is in the DCU.
I've been hearing
regardless.
it's a thing for months.
Yeah. If Gal Gadot,
it reminds me a lot of the Flash too, to be honest, because it's like the ending. Remember the ending of the Flash? There was a lot of speculation: which ending, what were they going to use, what were the possibilities of that ending? And I think the movie kind of actually ends itself really nicely. But
I hate the post credit with Momoa. I think that was
I'm with you,
really
but to me, that's your toy chest stuff that says, "Hey, look, we have an Aquaman movie coming next."
Yeah, but that wasn't a good way to set it up.
It wasn't, but that was made for you. They did that with you,
Not
with
for
you
me, dude.
Yes, they did.
I don't know. I don't know who they made that for.
To know that the Flash and Aquaman go to a bar and talk about their crazy adventures together, and then Arthur falls in a puddle and goes to sleep.
Yeah,
this is for Justin Kowalski.
Who wrote that?
I don't know. Steve Weisenberg. Dick Shoes, written by Dick Shoes.
That's right.
He's like, the bar was called the Elwood.
He's like, I played Superman once at Magic Mountain. It was great. Political stuff all left you. Yeah.
Oh, good old Ricky Joe.
Barstool politics.
There we go. Anyway, shout out to that guy, Rick Shoe. Miss you, love you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. All I can say is we will see. It's actually been fascinating to go on this journey. I've already started collecting Aquaman merch. I bought a Target 4-pack. I got a man-to-man, so I'm very excited about that.
Yep. So is that what you think? That's what I think. They're just soldiers, man-to-man, right?
Yeah, I mean, maybe
you guys are all like, "Who's Man-to-Man?"
No, I was not who's Man-to-Man. I just said
Ryan was.
Instead of
Ryan was like, "Who's Man-to-Man?"
I was like, "You've never watched the 60 cartoon? The Man-to-Men are these stingrays that actually are humanoid." But I'm excited that they just called them Man-to-Men. So I was like, that was pleasurable. Yeah, I was like, wow, they're really taking care of Aquaman.
My measure of this stuff is if Oliver, my 11-year-old, wants the McFarlanes, and he's like, I want the Black Man of McFarlane. Yeah, it looks good. Yeah, and the creatures, those look cool too. So the creatures, he doesn't really want Aquaman because he likes the Aquaman figure. He has the I don't know what the name of it is, but he has an Aquaman version. He's like, oh, no. It's not a Jason. It's like a regular comic version. That he's on. No, I don't need another one. That one's good.
Okay.
So I'm okay. So he just wants the Black Man and some of the creatures. Okay. I like that.
He didn't want Storm? I figure I'll be all about Storm.
Oh, I don't know. He did. Storm's the seahorse, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. He didn't really say much about that.
Interesting.
We'll see.
He's getting that cartoon for Christmas. He's gonna be pumped.
Yeah.
He's gonna be pumped. I'm pumped. I have it downstairs. To be brutally honest, I've had the 89 Batmobile Batman and the movie 6-pack.
Oh man,
I haven't put them away because I just stare at them.
Oh man, I wish I had them.
I play the music on my phone, the soundtrack, and I just stare at the figures. It's just like pure awe and joy. Yeah.
Can you do a 5-minute video of just the soundtrack and then the figure just spinning around for like 10 seconds? It's like
I haven't taken them out of the box. I just in the box. I'm not much of an inbox collector, but it displays very nicely.
I'm so mad I didn't get that thing. I should have just did it.
Yeah, I think it's actually. I've been thinking. I was like, I kind of want to build like my own Batcave diorama. See if I can.
That thing is beautiful.
Yeah,
I'm like, whoever's the next Batman, they need to reissue it and throw a 7th character in there.
Oh man, Yeah, no. It's not on Amazon.
No, it's sold out, dude. That thing's sold out. It's in the Amazon wish list book they put out, but it's not there. I can get it for $400 or something. I wish they made an Adam West one, like in scale. I know they make the 6-inch, but if they made a 7-inch Adam West, that'd have been cool. I think it's coming one day.
I don't know about that because he's doing his 66 line is entirely in 6.
I know, but I think he'll do it.
Which I don't mind.
We need to just do our McFarlane show. We're gonna do that. I won't even talk about it. Teasers to one day.
I believe there's a NECA 66 figure that's 7 inches tall.
Yeah, they need to do. McFarlane needs to do his.
It's funny that you want to do the 7-inch figure because it's a relatively new size when it comes to action figures. Like,
yeah, but if you're like a McFarlane guy and you're like, oh, I have this whole like set of Batman figures from the films.
Yeah,
you need to have West in there.
Me personally, I don't mind the mixing and matching figures. I kind of like it. I like discussing what's different. I like looking at a figure, like for instance, the Aquaman figure made by Mattel in 2018 versus McFarlane's 2023. Like that.
I feel like that sculpt is better. Cool. I think the face on the Mattel's better. Mattel face.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing them. I comparing it even to the Justice League figure that I have on display. I have a Mira Justice League Aquaman with a trench figure from that way. Like I actually have a nice little Aquaman display.
We never finished our trench. We never got Mira.
I bet you she's real dirt cheap now.
Maybe we got Justice League Mira, but we never got.
I do it. The trench figure's cool. I'll talk
he's
about,
cool.
Man. It's a cool figure. I'm more like, if you sold it individually, I would have bought like 3 or 4.
They should have done that. So they should have made like Volko the build-a figure. No one cares about Volko. No.
I have a Funko Volko from Justice League 2017 before everything changed.
You bought that?
Yeah, I have it. It's a smaller one. I'll show it to you when we're post show. But it's tiny.
Wow.
But I think it's good.
There you go. There's a fan base. Volko. The Volko.
Hey, and he's actually not in the movie, so he's another one. He's another main character from that we didn't talk about.
Zack Snyder. He's in Zack Snyder's cut. So
I did not like the long hair look though, but that's it.
Yeah. Well, he had long hair and he just had it in a little bun.
I kind of like this. I like that fish look. I don't know. It looked like people had fins.
Zack Snyder likes long hair because he likes it slow motions really well. It's like,
whoa, that's his thing.
Yeah, that's why. That's good.
Right. So you're ready for Rebel Moon. I could tell.
Dude, I can't wait for Rebel Moon. Just me and popcorn and Netflix and Ray Fisher. We're just gonna hang out.
All right,
we're gonna rebel. We're gonna rebel. I stand with Ray Fisher, man. I stand with him. In the unemployment line.
You have a job.
I know, but I'm supporting him. He's standing in lines, waiting to get some more work. I'll stand with Ray Fisher. I'm like, hey man, how you doing? You need some water?
You need some water?
You need some water, Ray Fisher.
All right. This is where we end it. You're going crazy.
We can end it. I'm going crazy.
You went on a tangent.
It's so tired. I'm so tired.
All right, plug away before you get me in more trouble.
My name is Justin Kowalski. You can find me on Twitter /X at Justin M. Kowalski. You can find me on this fine network, Batman on Film. And I will do shows with Pete. I'll do shows with whoever asks me to be on a show. I'll just be on a show.
Well, you got your own show called Chapter by Chapter. How about you start doing those?
Yeah, but I haven't done one in a minute because everyone's like, oh, I don't have time to watch Batman 89. I'm like, it should be in your heart.
Yeah, I know. These clowns, they know 89 by heart.
I'm gonna get one out, and then I'm working on another idea for a show. I can't wait to do it. We already talked about that, so it's gonna be
next
good.
month. I got 2 ideas. I'm gonna hijack the podcast. A sneak peek. I got 2 episodes in mind. I'm gonna hijack the podcast, turn into Aquaman on Film, and we're gonna talk.
Nice. Me and Peter are gonna do that.
Yeah, do you want to do the second story too, or do you want me to find somebody else?
I'll do whatever you want me to do.
All right, we'll figure it out. But
I'm your guy in the deep blue seat.
We're going. Okay, you could be my
Sub Diego. Sub Diego.
We got some Aquaman ideas because the movie's coming out in December. But I am Peter, and you can follow me on Twitter at Pete Illustrated. You could follow my podcast I do with Eric Holzman, Straight to Gotham at straight_O_G.
Best pop culture podcast on the internet.
It is great. It is wonderful. I do the Italian Spider-Man Coalition. You follow that at Italians for Spidey, and I appear on Ryan Lauer's The Batman Book Club at the Batman BC. I do that once a month. We talk about
overrated show.
Your opinions are overrated. Anyway,
I'm kidding.
you're listening
I
to
love
the
the BB.
original Batman on Film podcast, authoritative, definitive, the Dadgum original.
The original Batman on Film.
You've been listening to the original and official podcast of the Batman on Film website. Follow BOF on Threads at the Batman on Film. Follow BOF on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Batman on Film. To keep BOF up and running, go to patreon.com/BatmanOnFilm, or you can buy BOF a beer at buymeacoffee.com/TheRealBatmanOnFilm. For Jet and everyone at BOF, I'm announcer Rachel. Authoritative, definitive, the original, Batman on Film, founded in 1998.
Say goodbye, Graceland.